Right there.
Right there. On my camera, or my computer.
Nice.
Alright, impromptu speeches. So, why is learning about impromptu speeches important? Some of the skills that you need for impromptu speeches are really important, such as thinking on your toes. When someone asks you a question, it would be nice to be able to formulate an educated answer before you speak. Some people have that problem, including myself, not thinking it through first. And impromptu speeches kind of help you with this because a lot of times with an impromptu speech, you don't know what you're going to be talking about until about 30 seconds before. So you have to learn how to formulate your thoughts very quickly. You can formulate and organize your thoughts, kind of like an essay. That'll help you. That's an important thing to learn how to do. It helps you with your essay skills and your speech skills. And they also build confidence with public speaking, which is not an easy thing to do at all. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and the more confident and successful you are at them. For example, if you go to a job interview, you might not know the questions that they're going to ask you. So if they ask you a question, you want to be able to formulate, not, well, I think, you want to be able to organize your thoughts quickly. That's important. So, if you think of a speech like an essay, you can organize them that way. An easy way to do that is the 5-paragraph format, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. Because just like a paper, you want to grab their attention first. So you can start with a good attention getter, or a statistic, or a fact of any kind, or talk about what you're going to talk about for the rest of the speech in an exciting way. And then you move on to your body paragraphs, which are the juice, the bulk of your speech, the information that you want to actually cover. And then you need a strong conclusion, which wraps up everything you said. These are really important because that's the last impression that you're going to make on the audience that you're speaking to. So you want, obviously, to be a good last impression, so they remember what you're saying. So, in speeches in general, you want to consider your audience. You probably wouldn't speak to the whole school the same way you speak to this class, or to your grandma in the same way you'd speak to your best friend. So you kind of want to keep that in mind. What background information do they need for what you're going to be talking about, and what voice you should use, how formal it needs to be. Also, being confident is a really big part of speeches. You can totally tell when someone goes up there and is really nervous, looking down, so you want to avoid ums and likes. 3 things that I want you to remember, especially for these ones that we're going to do, is eye contact. So what I'll be looking for. Look around the room, connect with your audience. You don't want to just be looking at your paper of notes. It's not as effective as if you're actually speaking to someone. And volume of your voice. Today I've had a really hard time hearing, especially for some reason, so you want to make sure that every person in the room that's listening to you can hear. Even if you think you sound ridiculous, it's a lot better, to be too loud than not loud enough, and it doesn't make any impact at all. And articulation, this one's hard for people. A lot of people are mumblers, and that loses effect a lot. You want to be able to know people can understand what you're saying. So those are the 3 things that I'll be looking for the most in your speeches that you're going to do. And a helpful way to plan your speech is an outline. You can outline this just like a paper using the 5-paragraph essay format. So you'd outline the main point of your introductory paragraph or speech, and then the bodies, and then your conclusion. The biggest, also what I'm going to be looking for in these speeches the most is your conclusion. I think that's one of the most important parts of speaking. What are you going to leave them with? How can you conclude it? How can you wrap it up in an important way? So, for these speeches, we are going to be doing, first you're going to make an outline, so don't freak out because they're not that impromptu. So, you're going to be outlining. So, you just finished Fahrenheit 451, and in that Bradbury wrote about his vision of the future. If you were to look 50 years in the future from today, what would you see? You can speak for 2 minutes about this, your vision of the future. You can, have fun with this, be creative. We don't want to hear the same speeches over and over, so make it fun for your fellow classmates. And I will give you about a 30-second warning before it's over, so you can start thinking about when you want to fit in your conclusion. Okay, any questions about what we're going to do? Any questions about speeches in general, impromptu speeches? Yep, go ahead.
If you get the information 30 seconds
Oh, well, in impromptu speeches, usually you wouldn't. We're going to use an outline, so you can practice that skill for speeches. But most of the time when you do impromptu speeches, people write on a slip of paper, you draw it, and you read this is your favorite food, your last meal before you die. So you have 30 seconds to process, go up there and speak for 2 minutes. It's harder than this, but we're just going to ease into it a little bit. Got it? Any other questions? Alright, so why don't you guys take about 10 minutes to make your outlines for the 2-minute speech.